Have you ever noticed what happens the moment you start explaining yourself? The second you begin defending your actions, justifying your choices, or clarifying your intentions, something shifts in the power dynamic of the conversation. Without realizing it, you've already lost. Today, we're going to explore a counterintuitive truth about human psychology and power dynamics. The person who defends themselves is the person who submits. We'll examine why your instinct to explain actually works against you, and more importantly, we'll learn practical strategies to break free from this pattern. This isn't about being cold or arrogant. It's about understanding a fundamental principle. The world doesn't judge you by the truth of your words. It judges you by the desperation of your delivery. Let's start by understanding why defending yourself feels so automatic, so necessary. The roots go back to childhood. Think about being 5 years old. A parent or teacher accuses you of something. What was your only escape route? Explanation. I didn't break it, it fell. I didn't hit him. He hit me first. You learned early that authority figures held the power of judgment, and your survival depended on convincing them you were good. Here's the problem. You grew up, but this psychological pattern didn't. You're still projecting that authority figure onto everyone you encounter. Your boss, your partner, strangers on the internet, even your critics. When you rush to defend yourself, you're subconsciously communicating, "You are the judge. I am the child. Please accept my explanation so I can feel safe again." This reeks of weakness, and human beings can detect that scent of submission immediately. Consider what happens when someone attacks you verbally. Your cortisol spikes, your brain screams that you're being misunderstood, that the truth is being distorted, that you must correct the record immediately. So you speak, you clarify, you justify, you offer context, and in that exact moment, you've handed them control. The moment you defend yourself, you step into their frame. You become the defendant in their courtroom. You've signaled that your internal stability depends on their agreement. You've given them the key to your house, and once they have that key, they can trash the place whenever they want. Here's a truth that will change how you see conflict. The courtroom doesn't exist. There is no judge, there is no jury. There is only you and your perception of reality. Most attacks aren't about facts, they're about power. When someone accuses you, they're not seeking truth. They're testing to see if you'll jump. And when you jump, when you start rambling and giving reasons and showing evidence, you've confirmed what they suspected. They have power over you. Think about how rarely defending yourself actually works. How often does someone say, "Oh, I see now. You're right, I was wrong." Almost never. Because the attack was never about understanding you. It was about establishing dominance. The first step to becoming untouchable is realizing this. When you stop treating other people like judges, their accusations stop sounding like sentences. They start sounding like opinions. And opinions are just noise. Let me illustrate this with two responses to the same attack. Someone says, "You're being incredibly selfish right now." The defensive response, "No, I'm not. I did X, Y, and Z for you yesterday. I'm just tired." Notice the energy here. Reactive, weak, seeking approval. Now imagine a different approach. They say, "You're being incredibly selfish right now." You look at them. You hold eye contact. You don't blink. Your face remains completely neutral. You let the silence hang in the air for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Do you know what happens in that silence? It creates a psychological vacuum. The human brain is terrified of silence during conflict. It signals that the other person isn't playing the game. When you stay silent, you're mirroring their energy back at them, forcing them to sit in the tension they created. Usually, when you maintain silence, the attacker starts to crumble. They speak again, to fill the void. "I mean, you're not always selfish, but just right now. Why are you looking at me like that?" Now, they're defending themselves against your silence. The power is flipped. This is what I call weaponized silence. You become a void, and a void cannot be attacked. You cannot punch mist. You cannot cut water. By refusing to provide the resistance of a defense, you cause their attack to pass right through you and unbalance them. This requires immense internal control, because inside, your ego is screaming, "Fight back, say something clever, defend yourself." You must learn to control that impulse. Here's why silence is so powerful. The most influential person in any interaction is the one who cannot be read. When you defend yourself, you reveal your values, your insecurities, your buttons. Shout, "I'm not stupid." And they now know your insecurity is intelligence. Protest, "I'm not a bad person." And they know your insecurity is moral standing. Silence reveals nothing. It's a dark mirror. When attackers look into it, they only see their own aggression reflected back, and it makes them deeply uncomfortable. It makes them feel judged, which is ironic because you haven't said a word. Sometimes silence isn't enough. Sometimes the situation requires words, but never defensive words. If you must speak, never push back against the force. Pull it instead. Yes, use verbal aikido. There's a technique called agree and amplify that creates cognitive dissonance in the attacker. If someone accuses you of something absurd, defending yourself validates the absurdity. It suggests the accusation is serious enough to warrant a response. Instead, you lean into it, you exaggerate it until it becomes a caricature. For example, attacker, "You're so obsessed with money, you're greedy." Defensive response, "No, I'm not. I just want to provide for my family." Boring, predictable, weak. Power response, "You caught me. I actually swim in a vault of gold coins, like Scrooge McDuck, every Tuesday. It's terrible for my back." Say it with a flat face or a slight amused smirk. What have you done here? You've refused to be insulted. You've proved you're not insecure about the topic. You've turned their serious attack into a joke. You've established that you're the one framing reality, not them. This is what I call amused mastery, the ultimate state of high status. It's the attitude of a parent watching a toddler throw a tantrum. You don't get angry at the toddler. You don't argue with them. You're amused by the drama because you know you're safe. When you defend yourself, you're getting down on the floor and screaming with the toddler. Don't do that. Stand up, look down, smile. Here are more examples. You're arrogant. I prefer the term charmingly confident, but sure. You don't care about anyone but yourself. I'm working on it. I'll add you to the list of people I care about next year. This approach is powerful because it shows you're whole. You don't need their validation to know who you are. A person who knows they're generous laughs when called stingy. A person who knows they're smart laughs when called stupid. Every conversation has a hidden architecture. In conflict, there's usually a judge and a defendant. The judge asks questions. Why did you do that? What were you thinking? The defendant answers and explains. Here's the key insight. Whoever is asking the questions holds the power. Whoever is answering is losing status. The most effective strategy is to refuse the role of defendant and seize the role of judge. You do this by answering a question with a question, or by analyzing their behavior instead of your own. For example, them. Why are you always so late? Defensive. There was traffic and my alarm didn't go off. Losing. Power move. Why does my arrival time affect your mood so deeply? See the shift. Suddenly, we're not talking about the clock. We're talking about their emotional stability, their reaction. You've put the spotlight back on them. Another example. Them. You're being ridiculous. Power move. What makes you feel the need to use labels like that to get your point across? You're psychoanalyzing them in real time. This is infuriating to a manipulator because they want you on your back foot. Instead, you're walking around them, observing them like a specimen in a jar. Phrases like these are shields. It's interesting that you perceive it that way. Does saying that make you feel better? You seem very invested in this. These phrases acknowledge the sound coming out of their mouth, but don't accept the content. It's a boundary, a verbal force field. You're saying, this is your stuff, not mine. keep it. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to agree, but not the way you think. This isn't the agreement of submission, it's the agreement of the abyss. Imagine someone listing your flaws, trying to provoke a fight. You look them in the eye and say calmly, "You're right." Then you stop talking. This is the fogging technique. When you throw a rock into a fog bank, what happens? Nothing. No thud, no rebound. It just disappears. When you agree with an attacker, you steal their momentum. They're pushing against a door, expecting it to be locked. When you open it, they fall on their face. But here's the nuance. You must agree with the truth in their statement without accepting the shame they're trying to attach to it. There's a difference between admitting a mistake and accepting a character assassination. For example, them. "You messed up this report. You're incompetent." Defensive. "I'm not incompetent. The data was wrong." Power move. "You're right. The report has errors. I'll fix it." Notice what's left out. You didn't address the incompetent part. You ignored the insult and addressed the fact. You took ownership of the action, but not the identity. This signals immense confidence. Only a person secure in their competence can admit a mistake so easily. Insecure people fight to the death to prove they didn't make a mistake. Secure people say, "Oops, my bad," and move on. None of this works if it's just a tactic. If you're using these techniques, but your voice is shaking, or your eyes are darting, or your energy is screaming, "Please like me," it will fail. These strategies are 20% words and 80% nonverbal frame. You have to build the internal architecture to support the silence. This brings us to the shadow work. Why does it hurt when they attack you? Because they're touching a wound that's already there. If I tell you that you have green skin, you won't get mad. You'll think I'm crazy. You won't defend yourself because you know it's absurd. But if I tell you you're a failure and you immediately defend yourself, it's because part of you suspects I might be right. And the ultimate defense isn't a verbal technique. It's self-knowledge. It's looking into your own darkness, owning your flaws and accepting your shadow. When you know you're capable of selfishness and someone calls you selfish, you can say, "Sometimes, yes." When you know you're capable of cruelty and someone calls you cruel, you can say, "I can be." You cannot shame a person who has already accepted themselves. You cannot expose someone who has nothing left to hide. This is what it means to be untouchable. You've integrated the parts of yourself that others try to use against you. You become transparent. The light passes through. The arrows pass through. You're no longer a fortress that needs defending. You are the wind. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, play a game called No Defense. No matter what happens, no matter how small the accusation, you're forbidden from explaining yourself. If you're late, say, "I'm late." Don't give the reason. If you spill coffee, say, "I spilled the coffee." Don't blame the cup. If someone misunderstands you, let them misunderstand you. Sit in the fire of that discomfort. Feel the urge to fix it, to manage their perception, to be the good guy, and let that urge burn to ash. Watch what happens to the people around you. Watch how they react when you stop playing the game. You'll see confusion, then respect, then a strange kind of magnetism. Because people are drawn to certainty, and nothing screams certainty louder than a person who doesn't need to explain why they exist. You're reclaiming your energy. You're plugging the leaks in your soul. You're stepping out of the role of the child and into the role of the sovereign. The world will try to pull you back. It will try to bait you. It loves a reaction. Don't give it one. Keep your mystery, keep your power, keep your silence.